Happy New Year from Tradex Foods. Thank you for joining us for the Tradex Foods 3-Minute Market Insight, the Monday morning pulse report for seafood purchasers, but in this case, Monday is Tuesday. In the news this week, we wanted to explore how high frozen seafood prices are affecting its competition with alternate proteins. Well, first let's take a look at seafood consumption. In 2009, U.S. seafood consumption dropped by 1.25% and was the lowest per capita amount since 2002. In 2010, demand remained sluggish, and stagnant demand can be mostly attributed to the recession, rather than high prices. Most seafood in the United States is consumed in restaurants, which have suffered since the recession hit, especially the high-end restaurants, where a major portion of seafood is consumed. Another factor at play has been the reduced availability of salmon and shrimp during 2010. Seafood consumption is very dependent on supply. When it's available, consumption improves, but when supply is down, consumption drops. So, while high frozen seafood prices are likely further exacerbating the situation, they are not the sole factor at play. Most importantly, it is important to recognize that the costs of corn, wheat, pork, beef, and chicken have also risen, and the impact is being felt by consumers. And so higher priced frozen seafood is not unique to this industry. It is a trend that is noticeable across most protein sectors. Moving forward, seafood will likely be in a better position to compete with alternate proteins. First, an improving economy will bolster demand in restaurants. Second, the cost of beef in particular is expected to have a long-term price increases due to a global supply and demand imbalance. Third, the U.S. government is expected to release new dietary guidelines in 2011. The guidelines are expected to state that Americans don't eat enough seafood and that they should be incorporating more into their diet. The World Health Organization will also be releasing a report that is expected to promote seafood consumption to doctors, dietitians, and policymakers around the globe. In other news, scallop supply to the U.S. market is tight for both domestic and international products. New Bedford and Canadian landings are low. Canadian supply should pick up in the new year. However, continued demand from Europe will keep prices high in January and perhaps even until the U.S. landings pick up in the spring. Peruvian and Mexican imports are low and prices are reaching record high levels. Philippine frozen scallop inventories are also low, but they are priced to sell below Mexican and Peruvian scallops. China's supply is limited, but buyers may be able to secure a reasonable price for smaller sized scallops. Chinese larger sized scallops are available, but buyer beware. Some suppliers try to sell these off as Japanese scallops, which are deemed superior. Japanese scallop inventories are low, and most of the product is being used to satisfy domestic demand or is being exported to China for the emerging upper class market. The majority of inventory available in the new year will be primarily smaller in size and will likely be selling at high prices. Thank you for joining me for the Tradex Foods 3-Minute Market Insight. This is Robert Reierson. Have a great start to the new year, and remember, buy smart and eat more seafood.